In a world with entirely too many shows about cars, this is another pointless automotive podcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome
Hi.
back to another Pointless Automotive Podcast,
Mhm.
your source for all things pointless, sometimes automotive. Actually, it's always, geez, man, I don't know, 92% automotive?
Yeah, I'd say probably on the whole. I know we've attempted and failed to have like 100% off topic pod talk a couple of times, and it's like it even then like it boils down to like still like 30% automotive.
Still cars.
Yeah.
Dude, piggybacking off of last week, we ran long. We were talking about other project cars we've been eyeballing, which is just, we're always going to have that no matter what. And this is the reality check episode, man. This is the this is the follow up. This is the dude. Don't you have projects to finish, Frank? Because I do, and I know you do. Maybe we
Oh
should,
boy.
maybe we should finish that shit first.
Man, I mean, yes, clearly. And I almost spent some time today on doing some of that. Of course it didn't
Who
pan
is
out.
who is this man?
I know it did not pan out. But yeah, like I say this a lot about myself, where like I'm the guy that'll go to the sushi joint and be like,
Okay.
oh, I'm gonna get like 3 rolls and like yeah, I'll split a tempura with you and all this shit, and then I
Okay.
get like through like 1.5 sushi rolls. I'm like, what have I done? There's like way too much, literally in that sense, on my plate. Um, yeah, and I get out over my skis, and I do that with a lot of stuff that I do.
Don't be
And
a
yeah,
quitter.
working on cars.
Don't be a quitter, dude. You can eat all that sushi.
I know, but then I'm like questioning everything. Like what am I doing? How did I get into this? Help! How did I get into this nutshell? Like, and so
How do I
yeah,
spend
man.
the last 20 years of my life?
Yeah, it's not good. So
Mm.
yeah, I need to do this. Is exactly this will hopefully be a cathartic
Yeah,
episode for me. Get some
cleansing.
shit done, and we'll talk about it, and then hopefully I'll even execute on it one day.
Dude, I feel like I'm such a letdown because I haven't been drinking garage beer. So I'm drinking
Mm.
update on the drinks. Bohemia, which is
Oh,
and now I have an auto zoom feature. So there we go. Uh Mexican ale, Pilsner. Delicious, by the way. Wish I had a
yeah.
lime for it. Uh but yeah, ran out of garage beers, which is so fucking weird. Like I had a panic attack. I'm like tearing up the house. I'm like, I know I got a 30 rack. I always have a 30 rack of Miller Lite somewhere. So
You've
it's
got it.
just
You've
like
got it like buried under the house.
uh,
Like it's in case of like World War III kicks off. You've at least got like some garage sodas squirreled
I,
away.
that was the perfect segue to a Breaking Bad joke about hiding money under the house, but you wouldn't have got it because you're the only person in the world that hasn't seen
Nope,
Breaking Bad. So
I've
I
not
didn't
seen
go there.
Breaking Bad. I will say I have seen your new setup, and it looks fantastic. For those watching along at home on the YouTube feed, thank you. Secondly, you get to see Chadwick's like fully fleshed out, ridiculous ass recording podcast studio space, which I'm deeply jealous of. It's not full of garbage and broken down scooters like mine background. Um, it looks incredible. It looks very professional. I'm very jealous of you, sir.
It's pretty dope. It took a lot of work, man. And I kind of just wrapped it up, built the furniture today, slapped it all together. The HVAC was probably one of the most challenging parts because I've never put in a mini split before. In the cooling lines and everything, pretty straightforward. But the electrical, super
Mm.
sketch. So I to do this whole studio conversion, I had electricians come in. They like roughed out all the electric for me.
Mhm.
I'm pretty smart when it comes to not wanting to burn down a structure. I'm going to put a lot of time and money into. Well, not really a lot of money, but a lot of time. And they roughed everything out, but they left like the live wire going to a 20 amp fuse, and it had the 3 wires that every
Mhm.
house has, and they simply wrote danger.
Danger
Shut off.
noodles.
That's all they wrote on the wire. I'm like, hmm. So I had to find where they plugged into, shut the amp off, but or the breaker off. But yeah, pretty straightforward job. I saved over 7 grand doing the HVAC myself. That's it. Not to mention finishing off the space. But I'm super happy how it came out, dude. It's good. The new place isn't that big, so like we needed an office space, and there was a shed in the backyard. So I'm like, I bet I can turn that into a sound studio. So
it looks ridiculously like nice, like
it's super.
well done.
It's super dope. And I think I mentioned it before. Like my wife never says anything. I could do like amazing like home improvement things and she won't say shit. She'll be like, oh, looks good. Walk away, you know? And then she was like, can you send pictures of the office? My friends are asking. I'm like, you son of a bitch. Why don't you just say something nice, man?
Well, I will say something nice. Am I like your work wife?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, then in that case, mwah. No, it looks good, man. It looks really. I need to step my game up. Just like I need to step my game up on automobiles, man. Where to start? Like project shit I should be working on.
Ooh.
I mean, there's this. There's the Honda behind me.
Yeah, what's the story? What's the story on that thing? Is it just hanging out or?
It's just hanging out, honestly.
Oh.
I need to. We talked about it. I don't know, 5 or 6 epis ago. The float bowl, like the float in the carb sticks, and so you can start it. Although I'm sure the battery is dead at this point. I haven't tried to start it in like 10 months. It'll start and it'll run. It actually runs all right. But so 2 things. So the choke, there's like a little plastic lever on the carb that the choke cable goes to.
Sure.
And the little plastic arm that it connects to was broken.
Oh.
So like the choke doesn't really work. And then also the float bowl sticks. So once you get it started, it'll just sit there and then it'll just like it'll like stick and it just dump fuel like out of the carb. And you have to smack it with like the carb with a wrench a bunch of times to unstick it.
Nice.
So I should probably just get a replacement OEM carb, which you can get out of like Vietnam, because it's like the most popular mode of transportation for all of Southeast Asia.
Right.
And so I can get like a new OEM one for like $80. I just need to do that. And then tires. I have new tires because it's tubed.
Oh,
they'll hold air for like 20 minutes, and then that's it. They're 30-year-old tires. They don't really hold air. The tubes are shot. So I have new tubes, and I got white walls for it.
Oh, sick.
So, and that hopefully is it. It's a pretty freaking basic piece of machinery. It's a 1980.
Yeah.
So that's what I need to. That's like should be fairly low lift, but yeah, here we are. Hasn't happened yet. It's not the number one on my priority list, but it is one on my priority list. So,
dude, I think you got the right game plan. Just remember that Honda ATV I had to do over that had been sitting for a while. Fuel tank was what happened is like whatever it is, the sending unit. I don't know the terminology. I just know how to fix shit. It's where the fuel pumps out of the tank. It's not really a fuel pump. It's kind of like a sending unit. It had rotted completely off, which happens with older. If it's been sitting for a while, bad fuel, all those kind of things. A lot of water in there causes it to rust off. So I ended up replacing the fuel tank, and then I found the carb to be an issue, and I replaced all the jets. I cleaned it out, like you said, that throttle plastic arm. I made sure everything was functioning correctly. But after doing all that, it still didn't run right. I replaced the carb and that fixed it. And it's like not that expensive to replace the carb. And man, fucking with carbs sometimes, dude, when there's a cheap replacement, just do it, you know?
Right. Let alone fucking with CARB, the California Air Research Board. That's a whole different ball of wax.
Don't do it.
But no, that's I need to. And that's the thing. It's not going to get better or easier from while it sits here. In fact, it's the opposite, right? It's just my job will get more difficult as some of the shit sells or sits.
Yep.
And then maybe we'll sell. We'll see. But we'll go. I guess we'll just go back and forth. What are you thinking about working on?
I got the S10 Blazer kind of just hanging out. Drives fine. The biggest jobs on that one are interior and exterior, which are kind of, for me, they're the most scary because they're either gonna come out nice or decent or shitty. So it's like, and it's very time consuming either way, right? Replacing a headliner, no one ever says that job is fun. No one actually does it. They always outsource that job for good reason. I'm going to do it because I'm an idiot and I'm cheap. So that's on the agenda. That one looks like fucking someone let a wild, like, I don't know, mongoose fighting a wolverine in there for like.
I do remember. Yeah,
5 rounds. Yeah, it's so random, but it's like slashed all the hell.
perhaps
So that
perhaps a sloat
I,
or an ermine or any of those like weaselly type critters.
or an ermine, a fisher, a martin.
Oh,
Yeah,
could be a martin. Yeah, could be a
absolutely. Yeah,
martin.
looked a little martiny, a little pine martiny.
Mhm.
I saw some squirrel skeletons in there, but yeah, no, it's it's pretty rough. So those jobs suck, dude. I actually don't want to ever do it on anything that's not like has a rear hatch that opens because you have to pull that cardboard out. And that looks like a fucking nightmare on anything. So that's a big job. And the paint is beyond gone. And it always takes a while to bring paint back. If it can come back. I don't know. It's just guesswork at this point. But those are
Sure.
two big jobs. I got a bunch of other stuff. I sourced the original wheels. Want to swap that out. Those aftermarket ones are fucking
Yeah.
atrocious. And I got some off-road tires, and I put them on the aftermarkets because I didn't source the originals. And I don't know if you've ever looked up the 94 S10 Blazer OEM wheels. They suck. They're like super chromy. They have a lot of holes all over them, and not
Hmm.
like the cool old ones with like the holes in a logical pattern. They're kind of like all over the place, and it just looks like shit. So I sourced one from like 2 years earlier that says 4x4 on one of the spokes. It's a 5 spoke
Yeah.
OEM wheel.
It's like a broad 5-spoke, kind of a flat face. Yeah, those are
Yep.
good.
Those look good. I think that'll look a lot better on it, even though I'm not year correct. Fuck me, right? But it just looks so much better. So we're gonna do that. And then like a bunch of little maintenance. It still gets a goddamn check engine light when I shift to second gear. So something.
That's so weird.
It's so weird because I'm like, is it a shift solenoid or something? But that's like, I don't know, man. And then
What
I'm
happens
like,
when you shift to third?
it stays on. So as soon as you hit second, the light will stay on. When you stop the car, turn it off, it'll go away. You can drive in first, reverse all day long. But the second
Hmm.
you shift into second, something's going
And
on.
obviously it's pre-OBD, but like, have you done like the
I
little
haven't,
jumpy count the
I haven't even
lights?
had time to do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty easy to do on that one. I think it's actually in the cabin, which is nice. But if sometimes if the light doesn't stay on, it won't do it. So I don't know. Maybe it's definitely associated with the transmission, which sucks. But yeah, we'll get there, man. But
You can't yell at the homies who put the transmission in it and be like, I know that was such a hassle dealing with them in all capacities.
yeah,
Anyways,
it's a pain in the dick. So if it
and
comes
balls.
down to it, if I can't like figure something out that's easy and cheap, probably gonna go that route.
Right.
Shake my fist. But that Blazer, I really do want to like actually get that thing finished up.
It's cool.
It's kind of like my Trooper. It's like rough looking, still drives fine, but it just needs that final layer of polish and that effort. And I just haven't had time to doing these home projects, right? So,
Yeah.
but that's first on my list. I really love that truck, dude. It's so cool. It's so endearing. It's like the perfect spec. The 4.3 V6 is a good motor. It's a manual. It's a 2-door. Last year of the boxy style, so it's got all these pros going for it. It's only got like 75K on it. All kinds of
Cool.
pluses, right? It's just got to get there, man. Just got that time, finding that time, man.
Yeah, and that's interesting is what might be the lowest lift thing for me to approach is going to be the 41 Chevy because really all I'm going to do at this point is the glove box latch is broken
Okay.
and I have a replacement, and
Oh
so
wow.
I just need to swap it out, which should be quite simple,
Mm,
and then give it a wash, take pictures of it, get it sold.
yep.
Like that's it. And so I was just driving, here in the Bay Area, all of the clove, the mustard are in bloom,
Mm,
and so there's just a lot, like not that far from me, maybe 4 miles down the road, there is it's a small farm. It becomes like the local pumpkin patch.
aw,
And right now it's all just mustard and it's all completely in bloom. It's just a huge like ocean of just yellow flowers.
mm.
And there's like an old windmill and like an old tractor because it's a farm.
Oh wow.
And I'm like, all right, like I need to do that while these blooms are out. I need to wash the truck, take it there, and just shoot it like in this field of yellow flowers and do my photo shoot for selling it there. So I need to do that, if not this weekend, this upcoming week, and just get that done. And it will, like, I think just getting one thing done and moved and sold will be a good thing. At this point, if I get north of 10 for it, I will be happy. I think
Oh
it's
yeah.
probably worth around 12-ish, but it's one that's just it's hard to pinpoint a price on because they're all either here's a rotted out husk of a shell. All it is a chassis and a locked up motor and a cab,
Right.
and they want like $5,000 for it, or it's like this one's fully restored and I want 40.
Exactly.
And so this isn't that weird rusty farm truck, runs and drives pretty mechanically sound, but not that mechanically sound. Like the transmission, all gears except for third sound like are incredibly noisy and sound like it's going to blow up. Third is nice.
It's a good gear. If you're going to pick
good gear,
solid gear.
The throw up bearing makes some noise. It's just like a claptrap, but which is part of its charm. But it's like, I don't know. It's a thing. It's a piece of art, kind of. So I need to find a home for it. That would hopefully be the lowest lift one, and so I think that's probably the next one I'm going to approach, unless I buy something else immediately, which is also in the cards. That's not progress, so that's just me being an idiot. What do you think the Blazer is like your easiest one, like for you that you're gonna like, or is there another one that you're like, there's this other thing I can just kind of knock out?
I think the Blazer's the closest one ready because I know that one's going out the door.
Sure.
So that's probably why I'm prioritizing it. And it's mechanically, it's running great. I got to do some basic maintenance, and it's just that beautification and just like sitting down with it. I haven't really sat down and, I've driven it a few times, but I haven't really gotten into it. You own a car, right? It's like my ZR1, which is on my list. I walk by it all the time, but I'm like, I don't fucking know you. I don't know you, dude. Why are you looking at me? Yeah. And it's just like, hey man, whenever you get a minute, I'm pretty cool. And I'm like, I'm sure you are. I've heard good things, but it's just like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't have action until I get my dirty wrenches on something, or I like get to drive it like spirited around and put some mileage on it. So it's like I don't have that relationship with that car yet. The Blazer, I want to get there though. I really do want to put a little bit of mileage on that truck. And it's first on my list. Obviously ZR1 probably right after it.
Yeah.
It's almost intimidating because I've never worked on a Corvette, right? And that motor is completely different than any Corvette motor. So it's like it's kind of an animal, and it's another one of those scenarios where someone told me, I took it to multiple mechanics, couldn't get it figured out, and I'm like, fuck me, I got it. So it's that's how I do it. But it's imposing, it's a very special car. It has a lot going wrong with it. It doesn't start. It's leaked. I mean, every fluid, dude. I've seen transmission, power steering, engine oil on the floor. So
milk for some reason.
What's that?
Milk for some reason. It's just like leaking all kinds of crazy shit.
Fresh breast milk, which was extra
100% Cambodian. Yeah.
Confirmed by taste, my taste. But it's just a lot going on with that car, and it's so cool, and I so want to drive it, but it's like just getting the nerve up. Like I want to get the Blazer out the door first, and then I'm just gonna lock the garage door, dim the lights, and I'll be like, "You're mine, big boy," and just like really get after it. But it's almost intimidating, man, because there's who knows, right? We're starting from square one. I don't know what's going on with it. Secondary injectors, I think I heard that, but like. No, that wouldn't cause it not to start. That would cause it to just run like a normal Corvette. So, and it's not doing that. So, we got things. We got lots of things.
Yeah. No. It's those cars. Like and I think we talked about it. I just recently drove a 91, just a base C4 Corvette, 50,000 mile car, white over black, 6-speed. Cool car, but like. The ZR1, and I guess you and I, hopefully, one day we'll find out. I've never driven a ZR1, and like I've heard very mixed things and opinions on how those cars drive from people that like whose opinion I trust, and I've heard like, they're really really cool and like shockingly good, and it was like as just as good on paper as it is in reality. And then I've heard the exact opposite. I've heard like, they're awful. Ooh. And I don't know, but like, regardless of how it drives, it's just such a cool thing. Like the American supercar of its day. And
And
just
I
what
hear
a
you.
cool thing.
I think it's easy to trash a C4 Corvette, for obvious reasons. The interior quality, they look like an 80s Corvette.
Which
Like
I
if you
like though. I love the way they look.
can you conceptualize a more 80s looking Corvette than the C4? I think they've aged incredibly well, man. When I see them in the wild, I'm like, God, they just look good. C3, very classic lines to me. Doesn't look like it's retro, right? Like to me, like C3 is kind of Jetsons. It's that kind of future sight, what the future is going to look like kind of car. But it still looks very retro. The C4 was just kind of like fucking let's do some coke, big fake titty hookers.
Let's play outrun, and we'll yeah, it's the thing that's funny. The C3, I view when I see a C3, especially like a plastic bumper car.
Yeah, very different than the chrome bumper early cars. Yeah.
Yeah, those like mid to late '70s ones. Like I just picture like Uncle Rico and like just like it just looks like it would like park and then Joe Camel himself would like step out of it. You know what I mean? Like it's just
absolutely.
it's very much a vibe. But yeah, man, like this, like ZR1, very, very, very cool, and I want you to get yours right because I would love to coax you into getting some seat time in.
You're definitely driving that thing. First though, I want to go back to that what you said. Like I've heard the same thing. I've heard, you trash talk the C4 and they're like, it didn't drive that well. And now I can't speak if that was a sorted C4. It could have been in rough shape. It could have been, whatever.
I mean, even like ZR1s in particular, I've heard like people say like they're great or they're awful, and like I don't.
But you go back in the contemporary space of when that car rolled out in 1990, and everybody was like, "This thing is like actually easy to handle, and it fucking screams like that."
Is it easily woman handled?
Yeah, grab them by the pussy. But
when you're famous and drive a C4 Corvette, I've heard that they'll let you. But
I mean, it's ZR1. I think it's a given. I think it's illegal to resist.
Welcome to jail.
Bowling ball grip. But those contemporary reviews, you go back and watch, and like I think even Motor Week was like, man, this thing's pushed to the limit. It doesn't get sketchy, like because it's so sorted suspension wise.
And that had so much. Yeah, I was gonna say they have so much rubber under them.
305s in the rear in 1990.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
On a car with sub 400 horsepower. It's wild. But they were fucking fast. And like, I know it's king of the hill, blah, blah, blah. All those, it's an overused phrase and like the comparisons, but it was legit a fucking rocket ship. And I'm pumped, man, because I have fun driving ship boxes. And I have a feeling the C4 ZR1 is a little more sorted than a ship box. You got to remember the price tag too, Frank. 60 plus K in 1990 money?
Well, wasn't it at the time the single most expensive option? Because it's just a line option on a regular Corvette. Oh, now, I mean, it's not, but on the sticker it is. Yeah, it was like a $28,000 option package.
I think you could option a Callaway twin turbo, and that was slightly more expensive.
Interesting. Okay.
Which was kind of cool.
I suppose that's like a dealer option.
It was a dealer option, but still pretty fucking cool. But this thing was naturally aspirated Lotus engine. We know the story, Mercury Marine, blah blah blah. But I don't know, man. I think it's gonna be fucking awesome. I think you and I will get a fucking kick out of it because it's like it looks like a regular. It really does look like a regular C4. If you don't really know, even the badge on the 1990s subtle, just that little one in the back. Yeah. Hey, look at me. I got almost double the horsepower, Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I like it. And it's we'll see, right? Will it live up to the hype? Will it not? Ultimately, will it live? Kind of doesn't matter. Just getting it on the road.
That's
it. Putting miles on it. Like, even if it's like, well, compared to a C6 or like, it doesn't matter. Like,
who gives a shit? Yeah. Like, compared to, I don't know, like Escort GTs that I also enjoy to drive. I think it's going to be very rewarding. I think it's going to be fucking fast.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be fast as all shit.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I want to see it on a rally. Like I think that car on a rally,
I don't want to die.
you won't die. Just don't.
Just
Especially with modern tires on it. Like
yeah.
you'll be
That's
fine.
it.
And it's just, I think it's just so cool. It's just a very eminently cool piece of American sports car history.
Oh yeah.
I'm pumped for that.
It's a supercar, sir. That's not a sports car.
You know what? It's very, very similar to is the '87 Honda Accord
that
I've saved from the wrecker and genuinely have done zero things. The only thing I've done to it is I bought a battery to put in it.
Okay.
That was like 6 months ago, and it's just been sitting on the passenger floorboard of the car. So I don't even know if that battery's good anymore. I might just have to like sheepishly take it back to the AutoZone by my house and be like, oh, I don't know. It's like it's got the little rubber the little plastic cap still on the positive terminal. I'm like, it's only got like 8 volts or something. Just inexcusable. Just really bad. But I think I'm gonna spend some time cleaning out what's behind me, this garage, next week, and then I'm gonna bring it in here and do the why is it running impossibly rich troubleshooting adventure.
Is that the only thing wrong with it right now?
that's the question. Emergent problem, right? Like that's the thing that's like, hey, this is why it won't pass smog, and I'm assuming why the PGMFI warning light comes on the dash after running for 3, 4, 5 minutes.
Okay.
And so I've got some theories. But so here's the thing. Let's say I fix that issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is a very real chance that so super quick story on it. Here's how it went down. Car got donated. The original owner, elderly gentleman, ran it out of coolant and popped the head gasket. Family took his keys, donated the car. It came in the car donation, 160,000 mile, 87 Accord LXI. So that's the fuel injected top of the line version.
Yep.
5-speed manual hatchback.
Wow.
Dark gray metallic over gray cloth, buckets, 5-speed. It's got the original stereo in it. It's got the louvers on the back. It's got the original sunset plates on it. California sunset plates. So came in with the bat head gasket. Car donation sent it to, they called around, and this fly-by-night shop down the road was like, oh yeah, we'll knock it out $800. Okay. So went over there. They did it. It came back. They smogged it. It passed smog. Shortly thereafter, they sold it to a guy. The guy registered it to his name and then was going to come back with the rest of the money. And then eventually was like, I lost it all gambling in Reno or some bullshit. So he basically signed the car back over to them. And then, so now it's in the name of Joe Blow. Or no, it isn't. He never, long story short. Yeah. So it was in the name of Joe Blow, signed it over. I then noticed it because they were going to try and fix it up a little bit, clean it up a little bit more. And then maybe we were going to auction it. And then it had a really bad oil leak. Like they clearly, the fly-by-night shop that did the work on the head gas clearly fucked something up because it was just pissing oil.
They didn't
backside of the head.
I'm sure they didn't plane the surfaces, right? They didn't ship the head off.
Oh no, not $800. No,
yeah,
it'd be $800 just to get all the machine work done. So it went back over to that shop. They fixed the oil leak for, I don't know what they did, but it then came back. And then also in the process of this, the alternator started overcharging. So they swapped in a fresh alternator and it seemed to be okay. Except now, after it went back to fly-by-night shop and came back, now it's through all of this time, the original smog, when it passed smog, had expired 90 days after that original guy, between the guy buying it and sitting on it and then not actually buying it, bringing back the paperwork and all this bullshit. So I went to go re-smog it and it fell on its dick. It basically was pushing out 8% CO and it's supposed to be 0.9.
Holy shit.
So it's blowing nearly 10% or 10x over on carbon. So it's running super rich. Now it's got this PGMFI light. So I think it's something dumb is why it's failing smog. Because it passed, and then fly-by-night shop fixed this oil leak, put an alternator in it, and now it's failing miserably. So it's either a massive. I don't think it's. Here's the thing. The old Honda, like first generation electronic fuel injection, of which this is the second fuel injected car, at least in North America, that Honda put out. The Civic, or no, the first gen, or the generation before this, the very last year, the SE, or SEI was the last year 1 year trim that was fuel injected, and then this car. And I believe it only works off of, like, it does all the metering off of lambda sensor. So that's the downstream O2, temp sensor, and map pressure. It doesn't have, and it primarily meters off of map. Okay. So manifold air pressure. So I think either the map is bad, or because it was fine until the shop fucked with something's just not plugged in. Maybe the map's not plugged in and it's in limp, and it would much rather run rich than lean, so you don't burn holes in your pistons. Right. Or it could be temp sensor, right? And that's why it takes 5 minutes before it throws the light, because it's cold cycling, and then nothing ever comes up to temp. Sure. Because it's probably showing like negative 99 degrees or something implausible, and it never warms up until it's like, hey, dipshit, and that's why it's constantly dumping fuel. I hope the cat wasn't poisoned, but it had passed. So I don't think the head gasket killed the cat, because it passed after the head gasket was done. Right. So this is the kind of troubleshooting shit I've got to do. And let's say I do all of this, right? Let's say, oh, cool, like the map was unplugged. Cool. Or there's a bent pin in the ECU, and I gotta get I don't know, something. Put it all back, a broken wire. Put it all back together. The head gasket might, the nightmare job that this bullshit shop did, like, it might still be completely fucked. I've looked in the radiator and it's just straight water. Like, there's no coolant in it. It's just water. Not a good sign for the shop that did the head gasket.
Holy shit, dude.
We'll see.
And it's been sitting, so now you got like a crust-filled radiator.
Oh, it's getting rust. It's getting churned through. It's gonna have to churn through that. Like, it's all getting flushed out and stuff. Yeah. So this is what I'm up against. I figured, like, even it's like rotting skeleton is worth the $1,000 that I paid for the car. So even if it turns out to be deeply fucked, I saved it from the junkyard. I can sell it to someone else for $1,200. Pay myself $1 an hour for the labor I'll have into it, and move on. Yeah. So it might be deeply ruined. It might be not that bad. It might be like, oh, they did like a passable job on the head gasket, even though they just filled it with piss and water. We'll see. So it's a bit of an enigma, but it kind of, like, just talking through this and like the diag part of it, like, I love some of this diag stuff. Yeah. And I think it's going to be kind of fun until it isn't. Right? Until
it isn't, right?
Until I check like every box. I'm like, motherfucker. Like, I find like, oh, half of the stuff I thought could be wrong is wrong, and I fix it, and it still is fucked.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. Dude, yeah. Why did they just put pure water? I have questions, but yeah.
And I don't have answers, but I want to find answers, right? Yeah. And at the price that I paid for the car to keep it from the wrecker, it'll be worth, like, oh no, it turns out everything's fucked. Like, I'm not really going to be out anything. I think I can sell it for the same money I'm in it and just walk away.
Yeah, and as someone that's had to do that before too, like sell a project before completion or unable to complete, DNF, did not finish. It's frustrating, right? Because we want to bring these cars back to life. We want to put them back in circulation. We want them to live happy lives. And it sucks, man, when you can't figure it out. And something like that can be a real fucking head scratcher. You know, who knows? Like, especially because it passed smog before. That's the issue, right? If it never fucking passed smog, you'd be so much more in a better mental place. But the fact that
No, you see, I don't. I like that it passed because it narrows the scope because like I can't. It really makes me think that like, oh, dumbass shop that just poured tap water into this cooling system, like they did something dumb.
Yeah,
they
but then you feel
something,
bad.
or they just because otherwise, I would have thought like, damn man, did old head drive it around burning coolant for a bunch of time and it poisoned the cat, and I can't get a 50 state legal cat for this car. Not that I can find, anyways. And if I could, it's probably $900.
Oh, it's stupid, yeah.
And so, like for me, it's just like I like going like, okay, this is the scenario. It's like it did this, and then it did this, and in between that was the shop, and so, and also there is rodent evidence under the hood, which isn't a great sign, but it could mean like, okay, like a critter nibbled on a wire somewhere and it's a busted wire, or one that was barely making enough contact until they took the head back off and spit on it and put it back together to stop the oil leak. I don't know.
You never know, man.
I like the challenge though.
It can be tricky though too if you like, oh, it's got to be something they did, and then like the fuel pressure regulator died, or like you have a leaky injector.
Yeah, it's just weird timing, right?
By happenstance, happened between those time periods, and then that's a real pain in the dick when that happens. But it happens, you know, that totally happens. Dude, yeah, it's worth it. It's worth a shot. Now you have to like draw that like rational line when you stop dumping time into this cheap ass Accord, right? Like how much. You want to
like
sink like 40 hours into it? Probably not.
No. I would like to get 10 hours into it.
Yeah.
Hopefully I don't need to. Hopefully I get 3 into it. Like, fuck yeah, let's go. And then it melts into a ball of goo or whatever. And that's the other thing too, is like, so let's say I fix it, right? And I get it smogged, and everything's great. Like, golly, do I trust the head gasket job on this thing? Like, I don't know. They didn't. I know they didn't do the timing belt when they were in there, which they absolutely fucking should have.
You know, sure as shit that they just ran garden hose water in there. They didn't fucking put no, like.
Oh no. Yeah. It's probably I don't know if it makes you feel any better, but the guy who did the work is dead. He shed his mortal coil. He's no longer with us. It's a fly by night shop. And,
is it before he could add the concentrated coolant to the mixture?
Just send it. No. I mean, and not to be like mocking homie's death. Which we do that on the pod.
So we're known for it.
We're talking of the dead, but no, it was like a little hole in the wall fly by night shop, and like I talked to him. He's the one where like I don't trust them at all for anything remotely close to actually diagnostic work, but like I would be able to go there like, hey, this O2 sensor is in a very annoying spot.
Right.
And like, can you knock it out? And I'd be like, oh yeah, man, $100. Like, sick. Here's the part. And then I go and I come back later that day and it's done. And it's like tight. Like, thank you, man. Like simple shit like that.
That makes sense. I'm with you.
I wouldn't send a head gasket there, to be clear.
No.
But it was like one of those things where it was just like they were open and the guy was like doing work, and then like the next week, like the doors close and it's like, oh, what happened? It's like, oh, he's dead. It's like, wait, what? He was just working. Like, oh, yeah, he had cancer and he just died. It's like he works genuinely to his very, very, very last fucking day.
That's sad.
Which is like commendable, but also very shitty. Like societally, right? Like that's not this, like, you know, that's not the sign of like a super healthy community, literally and figuratively. Like,
yeah,
healthy.
no,
like,
no good there, man.
Like, oh shit. Martine, I appreciate the sometimes shady work that you've done for me over the years. So pour one out.
All right. Do we cheers to you, sir.
There you go. Wow. It's taking a dark turn.
Do we end it on that somber note and move on to
I don't know what else, you got anything else you're working on that's
So
like worth mentioning?
yeah, honorable mention the Galant VR4, which is
Mhm.
my long term. It runs, drives perfectly. I drove it to the house when we bought the place in a rainstorm, flying down the road, just as a Galant VR4 does.
Yeah,
Wonderfully.
buddy.
I love those cars, man. Just needs like time about water pump, all the regular maintenance items, and the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing I keep talking about, which I think I'm gonna
Hmm.
actually do, and make it a really fun rally car with
Yeah, get
aiming
that
for like
300.
yeah, aiming for like a 275 plus horsepower. I want to have it so I can swap the exhaust manifold and turbo in, and then just have some mapping so I can flip a switch. I've heard a lot of people say you can get past smog with these cars, with cars or with turbos that look like the stock one, as long as you
Nobody
have a
fucking
stock
knows.
tune.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one, if it has a heat shield on it, no one gives a shit
Yep.
as long as the air fuel ratio and everything are pretty standardized. But yeah, I kind of want to do that. I want to make it so like for smog, swap all the stock stuff back in, pass smog, and then turn it back to fun car. So that's still the plan for that one, man.
Rad. No.
Stick car.
Yeah. Honorable mention on my side over here. 924 turbo. Again,
Yeah.
nothing. I did do a splash of research. Yes, I can manually crank the headlights down.
Oh,
So I'm
good,
gonna
good.
do that. I wonder if I can do it like with just like a power drill, just zipping them up and zip them
Don't
down for
you'll
like a
break
photo
something.
shoot.
We're gonna definitely break something.
Probably, yeah. Um, but like, yeah, because that car's got to go, and
Mm.
and that and the truck. If I move those on, and yes, the Accord, but if I move those on, then I'll feel better. Um, just about life and cars, and then the availability to bring something new into the fold, which I have an agreement in principle to buy the Sprint Turbo. I went and looked at it this week, 1988 Chevy Sprint Turbo, and yeah. Uh, are we doing? We're not going to do PCP. This whole episode is PCP.
You're like, man, I got a car that won't pass smog. I know what the solution is. Add
Another car
pass
that
smog.
probably won't pass smog. It actually has really dope. God, where are they? Are they? They're not Montana plates. Oh, they're Wisconsin plates. So they're black
Okay.
they're black with white lettering and a race. They're like custom like racetrack, and the license plate is like turbo something.
Oh,
They're really sick to the point where like, I don't want to register in California because these plates are so fucking cool. And they
and
look
smog.
great on the car because it's white. I remember I think it's silver. No, it's white.
They're
It's
always white or
white.
red. Yep.
Yep. And so it's white. It's got the original wheels. The tires are dated 2022. So
It's
they're
not
not that
horrible.
old.
Yeah.
Um,
Anything good or just kind of whatever? Tires.
they're whatever. They're 12s. They're like whatever. Like nothing good is available.
Dude, I bet you can get a sticky Falcon in 12. I bet you can.
I think it's like I think what's on it are like 155 70 12s. So whatever.
Moped tires.
Effectively, yeah, they're like K
Yeah.
car tires. Threw a battery in it because the battery was flat on it.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, fired right up. It was like not like 3 revolutions and it just boop, completely
Nice.
sparked right up. Yeah, it seems pretty good until it doesn't. But like the original engine is in the trunk along with a spare seat just in case. But the heater core is bypassed.
That's a bad
Whatever.
sign.
Not
Yeah.
a good sign, but whatever. Yeah, but it fired right up. He said like he thinks it needs a proportioning valve because the brakes are like sometimes you got to pump it and then it's good to go. Which feels like perfect for a rally, but we'll see.
Yeah, I would start with master and slave cylinder.
It feels like master.
And
then I did look. Masters are available. I can get a master cylinder for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. When did it not pass smog though? Has it been a while?
It's never failed smog. It's just never attempted to pass California smog.
Oh, I thought you said it had failed smog.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that is a huge distinction to make, my friend.
Correct.
Good, because it's like I like to think I can get past smog with just about everything until someone's like, "Oh yeah, it's just the piston rings are gone." You're like, "Fuck this car," something like that. That sucks. Okay, cool. Never passed smog, so Hey, my blue Nissan, which I had for what, I don't know, 5 years, and put some fresh gas in it, drove it a little bit, and that thing passed perfectly. So, and that was never registered in the state of California. So you never know with those out of state cars, right?
Yeah. Well, my understanding is so the guy that homie Robert bought it from is in LA.
Okay.
So the fact that it was not registered in California, small red flag, right? Like, shouldn't
Oh,
you have just
okay.
like, do you know something that I don't?
Wait, what
Former
year is
owner.
on that plate?
It's got a 24 tag,
Oh, okay.
and Robert bought it like a year and a half ago. So it had current tags out of state at the time.
Interesting.
And apparently this guy owned like a dozen of these cars. Like he was like way into sprint turbos.
But he sold
And
it without ever, huh, interesting.
so he bought it was in the prior owner's name, and that guy had like 12 of them. Robert bought it from him, drove it up from LA, drove it around the bay for like an hour, and then parked it, and then it hasn't done anything with it since. And now it's just like, God damn it, I desperately need to get rid of this. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm desperately stupid. So perhaps I'll be your outlet. Um, and so that's where we're at. So
Okay.
yeah, I don't know if I should be doing that, but I will be doing that.
Back fees aren't bad on it, I'm assuming.
The guy signed the out of state title. He never dated the out of state title.
Whoa.
So I can
Sure.
put
Yeah.
put put that day's date on it, hustle over, and I'll have to do a VIN verification and stuff. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, yeah. It will be fine. Here's the thing:
It's
I don't
okay.
think the state of California is going to be really terribly upset about like tax evasion on a $2,500 car.
They'll
And
just
I will be paying my share of the tax. It's just the intermediate tax from it not getting initially registered. And guess what? It wasn't really driving anyways, just fucking sitting in a warehouse. So
right.
um,
Yeah, man. Hopefully
DMV
she
thing.
if you need some extra wrenching hands, let me know. Those things are cool.
Yes,
I'd be down to
I,
get
I
a little
might
bit
need a
of
hand wrestling the original engine out of the rear hatch, or not. It might weigh like 111 pounds, and I just
yeah, but that's probably like half the curb weight of that thing. So
sure, yeah, curb weight's like 1,800 pounds,
she's
if
doing a
that.
Carolina
So
squat right now, I'm assuming.
it's actually not that bad. It's actually pretty
That's
level.
surprising.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'll drive it home, and I won't be in that bad of shape. So we'll see.
Nice. Well, it sounds like we need to fucking stop making excuses and get some shit
I
fixed
know.
up.
We need to like quit talking about this shit and get it done.
And also just stop talking, period, because it's time for our little game, my friend.
Yes, sir. I think you're trying to savagely destroy me, correct?
That is right. I think I got something for you too.
Oh boy. Okay, so you pull this up. I will explain to those not in the know, although you should be by now.
Mm.
What this game is. This is our print ad quiz game. Yes, the name is unoriginal. I don't know if the game is original, but here's how it works. In today's rousing edition of the game, Chadwick here will pick a print ad from some sort of publication from the 80s, 90s to the mid 2000s. It's going to be an advertisement for an automobile.
Mm.
He's going to read the type copy from that while redacting out anything overly identifying. And then it will be upon me to guess the make and model and hopefully close to the year of the vehicle at hand. I get 10 minutes. I get 3 guesses. I get hints between guesses. Should I get those guesses wrong, which I won't, please find a way to play along at home. And let's have fun. Chadwick, what you got for me?
Let's go. So we got the
go.
vehicle, single page ad, my friend. I don't know if it's tire smoke or a dirt road. Either way, it's kind of blurry. It's kind of above 3/4 angle on the passenger rear, driver hauling butt somewhere. Vehicle is black.
Okay.
And here we go.
Ooh.
Perhaps the only thing faster than the blank is the speed with which they're being imitated.
Oh, okay.
Shots fired.
Wow.
Considering the number of new cars that look strangely similar to the blank, the traditional production line is fast turning into a reproduction line. That means they're
Wow.
fucking, dude.
Damn.
Ah, being being the role model for an entire generation of inexact clones is flattering for us, but hardly reassuring for a driver, especially at 55 miles per hour. Simply building a look-alike requires only a few months. Building authentic blanks necessitates a heritage spanning 57 years. I can see
Okay.
the math churning in your mind right now. The latest example of that heritage can be found under the blank's hood. There resides an inline six-cylinder, electronically fuel-injected power plant that, during cranking, sounds like an expensive aircraft engine. That is a car
What?
and driver remark.
Oh,
So,
sure. Okay.
yeah,
Fine.
I don't think they'd actually say
Whatever.
that. And the blank's takeoff is almost as fast. They have a remarkable, the term remarkable here is fucking questionable, 0 to 60 time of 9.4 seconds.
Okay. All right.
Remarkable, they say. And it's remarkable. Here's why it's remarkable, apparently. Because it's combined with an EPA estimated 21 miles per gallon, 28 highway. Still not, none of this is fucking remarkable. All of this muscle, this is great, is supervised by the same kind of computerized engine management system found in blank champion race car. So they're trying to say it's, same technology, trickle
Sure.
down, right? Um, there's some things I want to leave out here, some
Okay.
specific name systems, right?
Sure, sure,
Talks
sure.
about ABS, so that gives you a little time period
Okay.
here. Okay, blank, blah, blah, blah. All of these innovative systems demonstrate the basic difference between an authentic blank and genuine copies. One is a finely tuned evolutionary machine with parts and pieces created by some of the automotive world's greatest innovators, while the other was created by some of the greatest emulators.
Clever.
What are we talking about today, Frank? Let me get 10
Boy,
minutes on the clock.
this one's kind of tricky because here's the thing. So immediately when you started talking, oh, the heritage this and copying that,
Mm.
I anytime there's like a Porsche ad or a Volkswagen ad, there's a lot like of this, say the 80s, like the late 80s, like they're always heavy on, especially Porsche, on race heritage and ever since Dr. Ferdinand Porsche,
Every ad.
52 years ago. And so it
Every
sounds
single.
like that, right?
Yep.
I'm not going to sit here and name a Porsche or a Volkswagen product with an inline six. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Challenge accepted.
right. And so, just real quick on the ad,
Mhm.
you said it was inline six. Did it say electronically controlled? Electronic ignition?
Electronically fuel injected power
Okay.
plant.
Okay. So EFI
0 to 60
inline
in
six.
9.4 seconds. Muscle.
I'm gonna take it. I'm just gonna start out here. I don't feel great about it.
Mm.
God. But I'm gonna say this is a 19. Let's just go 81. No, ABS doesn't fit what my brain's thinking. I was gonna say like a 280ZX. It didn't mention overhead cam, but that was an EFI car with a bunch of electronic bullshittery
Weren't they all?
about that same 0 to 60 time.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no ABS involved in that at all. So going a little bit later, God, could this be? I'm gonna say this is a 1992 BMW 325i. Final answer, Bob.
This is not a BMW
Okay.
325. I think a 325i is much quicker. I think even on my
Yeah, you're right. You're
way
right.
quicker.
You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
I probably magazines were in the high sixes.
Could do. I mean, inline six, ABS,
That's
somewhat
acceleration
copied.
time way off.
Yeah, that's probably low eights, maybe probably the high sevens, maybe low eights. Um,
I think I tested it in the mid sevens or less.
really?
Mhm.
Okay. E36A.
High seven. Yeah.
Okay, so what do I want as a hint? And I haven't been paying attention to time. Have you?
I have been, but my phone has been. 6:45 remain.
Okay. Um, okay, so is this is it, do I have the right continent?
Yes.
Okay.
It is from Europe.
Europa. Um, okay. Could it be, it could be okay, so inline six, could be a Jaguar, could be a BMW. Highly unlikely this is a Volkswagen or a Volkswagen. Also highly unlikely it's a Volvo.
Mm.
They had an inline six. Wasn't until later in the 90s. It doesn't really fit the feel of this ad. Not a Saab. Could be BMW. Could be Mercedes Benz. Could be, is not Porsche. Okay. Is really not anything from Italy. So, okay, I'm going to say this is, God, it doesn't. Okay, I'm going to say this is a 1988 Mercedes-Benz 300E. Final answer.
This is not a Mercedes
Okay.
at all.
Okay.
That's two strikes. You have 4.5 minutes. Let's talk about this, Frank. My first hint to you would be
Yeah.
you were incredibly hot on your first shot.
Okay.
Incredibly.
So I'm thinking, golly, because then I go, okay, is it a three or is it or sorry, it's not a 3 series, I don't think, unless I'm like way off on some of the shit. Because it could be, I don't think it's a, so okay, E28, I'm trying to figure out when like a more basic bitch E28 5 series got ABS. A 535 is certainly, and a 533, those would be way too quick. This could be a 528E and a 320 and an E28. Feels good. The fucking hubris of this ad doesn't, like, I feel like they should take, like, that's still a very good car. Like, you don't have to just be like, everyone's fucking on our jock trying to copy our shit. And I don't,
it doesn't sound like an aircraft engine. It sounds like an expensive aircraft engine.
Sure, I suppose. I mean,
inline 6-cylinder.
Right. I suppose it also could be a 325E, like an E30. Could you get that with ABS? Like, this is the era of like some of the shit came with ABS and some of it didn't.
Sure.
I don't think this is a 7 series. This doesn't feel like a 735i. They'd be both. I mean, who was really copying a 7 series? The 7 series was a copy of an S class. Like,
has a 7 series ever run a 940 to 60 ever?
Probably. I bet you a fully fucking juiced Like
Not an
I
instrumented test. No fucking way.
E32, yeah, E32 735. I will look it up after this.
It's not 9.4. No way. And if it was, they wouldn't mention it
That's
in
a
the
big fucking
737.
car.
They would not answer that. They would not illustrate that.
But you know what? I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say this is a 1986 fucking Edda car. I think this is 19. I'm gonna say a 1986 528 E. Final answer, Bob.
I'm going to give you partial credit. You actually said the car it is, my friend.
It is a 325.
There resides an inline six-cylinder, electronically fuel-injected ETA power.
Yeah, it is a fucking Edda car. Yeah,
325E, baby.
it is a 325.
It
just throws me because they're like
diesel.
everyone. Yeah, right. Like fucking revs to $4,000. But
so the part I left off
car. It's just funny that they're like, oh yeah, here's a 0 to 60 and this and that and and it's like the basic. I guess it's not. I mean, you can get the 318, but
which was probably still quicker for some reason than a 9.4.
They actually drive okay. Those Edda cars, like, it sucks that you can't ring them out because they won't let you. But like,
right,
they're okay to like around town. Like, I get it. Like it's kind of a remarkable thing. Good fuel economy.
Torque down low, power down low. Everything's pretty cool. The part I left off was BMW's innovative service interval indicator. So that was going to give it away, right? It not just manually indicates, the onboard computer can be programmed to even provide anti-theft protection.
Ooh.
So it is a 1985 325.
85. Yeah. Yeah, because earlier you had the 318, and then they said, "Oh, we're not going to do the 318. Now we're going to have to because the M10 motor was dinosaurically old,
and
so they decided to make the Miser version. Yeah, the 325 that had a motor. Yeah, it's like it's one of those. It's either, and I picked the wrong one. But
you mentioned it
because that was the thing, right? Like that was, and nobody buys sedans anymore, so it's no longer a selling point of BMW. But it was like BMW was like, we invented the sports sedan,
right?
Like sports sedans are slowly becoming a thing. Get off my dick. Like that was BMW's take.
Yep.
And so the 3 Series was like the sports sedan in some capacity. Like, yeah. Interesting. And it's weird that they were not weird, but it's just funny that they were shouting from the mountaintops about it then. Like, I will say, shout out to them for being like, hey man, we've got like 50 years of heritage. Yeah. In 1985, you go back like, bro, that was Germany in the 1930s. I don't know if you really want to be like, hey, you know what we were doing back in the 30s in Germany? I don't know if you want to go down that road.
They did.
Yeah.
They did though.
I don't know if I don't know if you want to do that. I don't know. Say la vie.
It's the Germans. But yeah.
It's the Germans.
Cool. That was a fun one. I can't believe we haven't done the Edda car yet. It's pretty interesting. Still significantly cheaper than the 325i's out there. And they're usually in a lot better shape. Every Edda I've seen tends to be,
it's grandma's car.
Yeah. Better sorted, way nicer interior. Haven't been fucked with. So they're pretty cool.
Kept away from the fuck boys. And they're pretty cool. I've driven the 325 ESs if you can find one, which is cool because it had like all this the front spoiler and the rear spoiler and
stuff, right?
Yeah, like the baby Recaro seats and stuff like that.
Aww.
But just with the Edda motor. And they were cool. There was one that came through Car Donation 4 years ago, like just before the COVID bubble. I could have had for a song and I didn't. It was red over black. And the guy bought it as local, and I still once a year I'll see him drive by. I'm like, hey, there he goes. Had big miles on it. I think the odometer was at like 280, but like it was broken like a decade prior, so who knows.
God damn.
But yeah, very cool.
Cool, man.
Well, we don't have any PCP to do necessarily, unless you want to actually, and here's the thing, you've got like a professional studio that you're recording in now. I found some time in my life by losing my job, which is good. And so I think I need to follow suit. And yeah, I think, what do you think? Should we say like before episode 180,
Ooh.
we should like have like more things and features and like production and like and maybe get the Patreon one where we like abuse hard drugs and people can pay us like to participate or however, I don't know.
We
Find
absolutely,
ways
there's
to
only
like
one direction to go from here. But yeah, no,
the
we should
grave.
definitely do that. You need to make your project list of stuff. Like I said, I took this entire week off of work just to do these projects because this literally would have taken me like 6 months to do if I, doing it 2 hours after
Two
work.
hours a week. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously, horrible. And my lack of sleep and everything else. But yeah, dude, make yourself a list of what you want to do.
Yeah.
I actually have going through my garage tomorrow because when I moved, it just ended up dumping everything in the garage. There's a ZR1 in there apparently, and then like,
What I've heard.
uh, what did I have? 6 garage spaces before consolidated into that one garage now. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a fucking nightmare, dude. I can't find anything. So tomorrow, that's my entire day is going through a garage. You should do the same. You look like you're adding to your collection of miscellaneous stuff there. Just it is
Yeah.
cathartic though when you clean it up and it's like you can actually find stuff again and like it's like organized for me anyway.
Yeah.
It just makes my life a lot easier. So
Yeah, for sure. Like I need to take serious time out of my week next week to do that, kind of clean house and yeah, so that will be the project that I'm making, the project not car.
yeah,
Um that I get down on. And then yeah, and then we'll smoke scorpions on for Patreon. If you pay us like a paltry like 38 cents a month, then you'll get
some
to
of
see
us
us.
some of us never stopped.
Yeah. Yeah, I get to like yeah, for we'll do like our own like BME Pain Olympics for patrons or however that works. So
God bless.
Google that for those playing along at home, or don't, really, whichever.
Please
Um,
don't.
uh, Also, for those playing along at home, thank you. We appreciate you putting up with our bullshit. We say this every one of these, so I'll make it brief. But yes, thank you for putting up and watching and listening and doing all of that. Rate us. Apparently, that's a thing that is valuable.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, leave us all those 5-star reviews or just yell at us through our abandoned Instagram. I did, and I didn't really tell you about it, Chadwick. Quick shout out to the homies at the Car Exchange.
Mm.
I don't want to say friends of the pod. Let's say it, friends of the pod or frenemies of the pod. I don't know. I
Mm.
guess they're a competing pod. But they're the homies over there. Go check out their podcast. I got to be a guest with them this past week, talking about the auction space, which is fun. And GMT 800s. So
Yeah, I
go.
listened to that episode. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome episode. Those guys are cool, man. We should definitely have them on the pod for sure.
Yeah, for sure. They can yeah, smoke opium with us in future episodes. And thank you for metaphorically smoking opium with us. I'm Frank. I'm the photographer's garage on all the things and all the places. How about you, Chadwick?
Yeah, still Chadwick, Auto Obsessive Garage until it becomes Auto Obscure Garage. You heard it here.
Oh
So
shit! Breaking news.
we got to work on that. That's in the works too. But anyway, yeah. From the bottom of our hearts and the top
Oh
of our
god!
farts,
Don't do it. Oh man.
we love you guys, and we'll see you guys next week.
Ta ta.
Bye.
Toodles.